Have you ever met someone that you felt like you were destined to meet, whether that be a friend or a romantic partner? You met them, and as soon as they're in your life, you realize, like, I really feel like I was supposed to meet this person. Well, today we're going to be talking about invisible string theory. What is invisible string theory? According to an ancient Chinese proverb, there is an invisible red thread that connects all those people who are destined to meet, regardless of time, place, or circumstance. I have 3 to 4 incredible stories we'll be going over today about people who found out that they had met or been around each other well before they were ever even aware of it. Very crazy, very incredible stories with photos to back it up. So stick around and check it out. In this first story, we're going to go over a couple by the name of Alex and Donna Baustinas. Now, they were getting ready to get married, so in the preparation for the wedding, they were pulling out old photo albums and old photos so they could make a memory board for everybody who was coming to join. Donna was looking through the photos and she found one of her and her siblings at Disney World in 1980. As she was looking at the photo, she was about to put it back, and then she looks and takes a closer look and she realizes the guy in the background of the photo pushing a stroller was her soon-to-be father-in-law. The person in the stroller was her soon-to-be husband. So they realize, she shows her husband or her fiance, and they realize they had both been at Disney World at the exact same time and had a photo with both of them in the photo years before they ever knew each other, before they'd ever met, before they even knew each other existed. Here they were in the same photo at Disney World, completely random. Obviously, they were shocked and surprised. It was really weird because they didn't even live in the same country at that time. Alex and his family lived in Canada, while Donna and her family lived in Florida. Who knew this random moment that was just captured on one photo would lead to those people in that photo eventually getting married, some 20 years later. You guys, how insane is that? Here they are, full-grown adults about to get married to each other and randomly stumble upon this photo. How much more would you need to know that you guys were meant to be? Obviously, this is just a one-of-a-kind case. You probably never find another one like that, right? Wrong. Check out these next stories. In July of the year 2000, a young teenager by the name of Zui posed for a photo in the May 4th Square of the city of Qingdao, China. She was there on a trip with her mother. The trip was a way to help boost her mother's morale. She had been recovering from a pretty intense surgery. It was a pretty simple photo, just her in the foreground and a picture of the main sculpture of the square in the background. She didn't think much of that photo until 11 years later. Now, 11 years later, her now husband Yi had been looking through some of her old photos when he stumbled upon that photo. But he was shocked when he looked closely at the photo and noticed himself 100 feet away in the background posing for the same picture. He said as he was studying the photo, he got chills all over his body when he started making the connection and realizing they were in the same place at the same time in the same photo well before they ever knew each other or ever met. Who knew that 11 years later they would meet in a city 1,000 miles away, end up falling in love and getting married? Here's the photo if you haven't seen it yet. So that is 2 amazing stories that are almost too crazy to even believe, but I'm not done yet. Let's dive right into our next story. Freshly married couple Nick Wheeler and his bride Amy Maiden were going through some old family photos when they stumbled upon a picture of themselves playing in the sand at a beach just feet away from each other 11 years before they had ever met. The couple lived 100 miles apart from each other at the time. The photo was taken in 1994. Nick and his family just so happened to be on holiday in a seaside village of Mousehole in Cornwall, where Amy grew up. They ended up meeting 11 years later in college. They discovered the photo while at Nick's grandparents' house browsing through old family pictures. Nick showed Amy a picture of him, and she let out a shriek and pointed at the little girl in the background, which was her. Now, what's so crazy about these stories is that they had the photos the whole time, just sitting around. There's a chance they could have never even looked through the photos or paid any attention to them, and they would have never discovered them. So how many other stories like this are out there, but people just haven't noticed them yet? I know you guys are like, okay, well, that's enough. We are pretty blown away, but I'm not done yet. Check out this next story. Jen Chia is a YouTuber and singer, had quite a shock when looking through old photos. She stumbled upon an old selfie of herself in a cafe with her now husband, John Lindell, in the background. This photo was taken 2 years before they met on October 12th, 2012, and 11 years before they were married. She said she was shaking as she looked at the photo. She said they were at the same place at the same time and didn't even know each other existed. She states the couple officially met in December 2014 and married in August 2023. I like this. She adds a little reflection and perspective to the story. If it was before, I don't think the relationship would have lasted. Chia continued, I was a narcissistic monster, unaware and naive. She added, took me a year of traveling and being single to reflect and realize my own mistakes. That's when we met. Wow, that was great insight on her part. Here's a photo. Here's the selfie of them, of her with him in the background. All right, it's time for the last story of the day. Now, I found this story in a book from Jenny Crompton, her book of incredible coincidences. I don't have any photos to go with this story, but it's also another amazing story. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it and let you guys hear it, even though I don't have visuals to back it up like the other stories. Reminiscing one day about her magical childhood holidays, Shirley Peskett dusted off her parents' old photo albums and flicked through it with her husband, John. One picture in particular of Shirley building a sandcastle caught his eye. He said, I thought that woman there looks just like my mom. He later told the Daily Mirror. He then spotted a football and a bag that looked very much like his own boyhood possessions. Gradually, the story fell into place. Despite having grown up on opposite sides of England, both had spent the summer of 1963 on the same Somerset beach with their parents. It wasn't until 11 years later when they coincidentally ended up at the same Hertfordshire college that they finally said hello to one another, and not long after that, I do. So, even though I don't have photos to go with this story, this is a documented story that was even covered in the Daily Mirror. This happened back in the 1960s. Now, did you guys notice something really amazing from these last 4 stories? This is something that kind of shocked me as I was doing the research and covering these stories. This popped up at least out of 4 out of these stories. Did I cover 5 stories just now or 4? I think it was 5 stories. 4 of them, if you noticed, each of them didn't meet or get married until 11 years after they had realized that they've been in the same place at the same time in those photos. So go back, and if you didn't catch that, watch this video again, and you're going to notice that other than the very first story, all the other couples didn't meet or get married until exactly 11 years after they had that chance encounter in their photo, or had been in the same place at the same time in that photo. I don't know if that means anything, completely just random, just coincidence, but I don't know. I found that really fascinating that it was always 11 years. Anyway, that's our episode for today. This has been the Invisible String Theory episode. I was blown away by each of these stories. I can't even imagine being with your spouse, your partner, whoever, and then just stumbling upon some old family or old childhood photo of yourself and seeing that person in the photo with you in the background. And to think that this has happened all these different times. These are just the stories that I've uncovered. Who knows how many other ones like this are out there that maybe they haven't looked at their old photos yet, they haven't discovered it yet, or maybe it hasn't been made really widely public or publicized. Anyway, if you like this video, please drop a like, hit the follow button, subscribe, anything you could do. My channel is just getting started, and I want to bring you really crazy stories at least once every week. Thanks. Look forward to hearing from all your guys' feedback. I'll see you next time.